It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
I'm Wayne Miller.
And this is
It's Movie Time with our little friends here today.
Wayne, we are award winners, even though nobody out there cares.
No.
We are.
Yeah.
Now, Wayne, Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. What is he, a fisherman seeking worms late at night or something? What is this?
That's the nickname given to these guys who prowl the streets late at night, listening to their police scanners to try to get on to scenes of violence, of blood, of gore. Kind of like they said early in the show, if it bleeds, it leads when it comes to the local news. And they would love nothing than a fatality car wreck, homicide, people out on the street bleeding all over the pavement. And I think brilliantly picked up by the cinematographer Robert Elswit.
Oh boy, yeah. And LA just
good.
Looks beautiful, as I think many critics would say. LA is photographed at night beautifully, and this guy does it, takes it even farther. So it is lovely, but of course it is the great place for crime in the evening. And Lou Bloom, whom Jake Gyllenhaal plays, is a kind of lost guy who finds himself when he sees a bloody accident and sees the photographers with a great Bill Paxton.
Yes, Paxton's very good.
Taking the footage and selling it to TV stations.
Yeah.
And so he picks up on that. And you know, this is as much about media, and we know, and Johnny D. Loretta, of course, knows very well what goes on in TV news. And I think it's, at least Johnny tells me, that it's really very accurate from what limited experience I've had.
The two reviews I've read about this, one in Time Magazine, and the other one in Entertainment Weekly, one compared it to network.
Got it.
The other one compared it to broadcast news.
Right.
I look at it, and what it brought to mind to me was an early 50s movie with Kirk Douglas that was originally called The Big Carnival, but then they renamed it Ace in the Hole.
Ace in the Hole,
yes.
I know.
And excellent. Somebody who is morally hollowed out, and this is their way of getting into the big time.
Well, and it reminded me a little bit of Medium Cool.
Yes, Robert, Forster or whatever.
Oh, yes. Right, yeah. So there are a lot of shows about TV news and about broadcast news, and I think you cited the two best. And the point always comes down to how much are those ratings going to determine whether you even have a job. Renee Rousseau plays a great TV news director. Right.
And they kind of compare her to the Faye Dunaway character in Network.
Yeah, got it.
This is a barracuda. You know, she doesn't care who she goes to bed with. She doesn't care anything. The main thing is getting the audience, and that's job security. And like with Renee's character in this movie, that they mentioned at one time that she hasn't stayed longer than 2 years at any one studio, and she's getting past her prime. A very beautiful woman, I thought, very well acted, but also I thought, is she one of the anchor people, because she's all made up.
Oh yeah. She has the flowing hair, and she looks good.
Yeah.
But she's not. What Johnny was saying, one scene in there, when he's sitting there by himself, would never happen. You could never get on the set and sit there by yourself just to look at.
Yeah, security.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can't imagine the stalkers that they would get in that profession.
I know. Or Jake Gyllenhaal. Do you think he'll get a nomination?
I think he deserves it. This is one unsung hero when it comes to young actors. I guess he lost 30 pounds for this role, so he was really, I think,
looks gaunt
Weekly
and hungry.
Say, that he was morally hollowed out.
It's a good phrase.
Being eaten from within. But I tell you, the guy, he could play such a creep, but with such charm.
But you
That
got it.
big smile and saying hi
Yep.
to everybody, his little self-help platitudes that he's gotten from his own little research on websites, which I thought was with his young assistant, Rick, who I thought that was a very good role.
Yep.
This poor, naive,
Reese Ahmad, I think is
slightly
his name.
dim guy, and
Yeah.
asking about his performance evaluation.
You know, I thought that character, who he's his intern, he's just a young guy who needs a job,
Yeah,
really was our substitute.
yeah,
Yeah,
following along.
Right,
yeah.
following along and just wide-eyed about what Lou Bloom is pulling off.
Yes.
You know what I mean? What he pulls off, for instance, is that it'd be no big revelation for you to know that when he suddenly gets the idea about being able to photograph these accidents, he actually moves the body to get it in better light.
Yes. Yeah,
So you can see where he's going right down that slope
yeah.
to creating his own scenarios.
An interesting, but I thought possibly unnecessary montage after he kind of hits it big.
Yes.
And then you see all the different scenes he's on, and he's putting logging
yeah.
them on his computer.
Right,
and
right.
I thought, is this needed? And I thought, well, maybe this show his progression, that how invaluable
Yeah.
he'd become to that low-rated TV station and their news.
That's a good point, though. You don't really need all that montage
Yeah.
for him just to walk in the station and say hello to everybody
Right.
and realize that he has ingratiated himself.
Right.
I mean, the essential point is that they're at the bottom of the TV stations in town, in LA, and they need good lead-in stories.
Right.
And he can provide them for them, so Rene Rousseau, as the director, buys into him, even though she is incredulous at some of the ways he gets himself into that business.
Yeah. It's interesting how he was able to kind of suck in all these other people, like Rick, like an old-time professional, like Renee's character, and kind of suck them in. And not to give anything away about the end, but I think that it'd be interesting if they would have a sequel to this movie.
Yeah. Well, and it also reminded me of that brief time, a couple of years when I was at ABC Fox,
Yeah.
that that these people were really bright. So any of the shenanigans I pulled on there, they were on top of it to rein me in, so that they were not going to let. So that's why I think your question is a good one. How could this guy so quickly
Yes.
get himself in people who know their business?
Well, one scene where he had snuck into a house and taped the dead bodies and
Right.
everything. And as they're showing it on the news, and Renee's character, the producer of the show, feeding tidbits, directing the two anchors as they're talking about it,
That's
like
right.
telling them, play this up bigger.
That's right.
Use
Use this word.
Yes. Appeal to their fear that these killers are still out there.
Right.
And I thought that was a very good scene because
Yeah.
you picked up that these anchors, to make it seem natural, that they were, and heartfelt, that they were smart enough to really pick up on that and go with it in a very natural way. I do want to say one thing back about Jake. And being such a great young actor in two other roles that he's had recently, I really liked. One was End of Watch, where he played a young LA beat cop,
Right.
and very good, pumped up, and you thought this guy could really take care of business. But the other one that I thought was he made the movie, and that was Prisoners, the one with Hugh Jackman about the kidnapped girls, and down to his subtle but yet effective twitching of his eyes.
Well, and it's
in that
completely
character.
opposite, because here he doesn't even blink.
No,
He's a scary.
this
it's just
bug-eyed kind of like
just
dead
scary.
on
You know,
look.
that kind of look. You go, uh-oh, I think something's going on here, because
Yeah.
he doesn't blink. And I think that's of course, a conscious affectation on his part, but
Yeah.
just a part of the way he's acting. And you're right, in a completely different, but in the same kind of very impressive performance in
Right.
a smaller movie.
Well, and especially in the one scene where he's at dinner with Renee's character, and just kind of staring at her, and this part seduction, part blackmail, of
know.
not only advancing his career, but getting into bed with her.
Oh,
That's why I say seduction, but through blackmail. But there was a certain very creepazoid charm to
Well, it was a
Kate
kind of role
Blanchett.
that I thought Robert Downey Jr. could have played very well. And in other cases where he's giving a speech about what he learns online about business, and he gives these speeches.
Yes,
they're kind of rote, and he hasn't done any real thinking about it. It's just he can tell you what it is. I thought the same way he was going with her. No, well, no, you can do this, you can do that, and he always stays like a gentleman, but he is insidious as heck.
I think Downey could not have pulled it off as effectively. There'd be a little bit of a smirky about Downey, whereas Gyllenhaal, though, does it very well with a certain level of sincerity that you could buy into.
All right, Wayno.
Yeah.
It's time. The name of the movie is Nightcrawler.
Right.
It stars Jake Gyllenhaal. Your grade.
I'm giving it an A-.
Oh.
I thought it was very good, and I liked it. And once again, I don't know why I've become a sucker for brilliantly edited chase scenes, car chase scenes, like we talked about in Lucy. This one has a brilliant one through the nighttime of LA.
That's right. Well, I am awarding it an A- as well, and my reason is slightly political, in the sense that I've recently awarded Birdman an A, because I believe Michael Keaton will win. I haven't seen who else is going to play this year, but so far this year, Michael Keaton will win, and that's a solid A for me. So I'm going to back just slightly away to an A- with you, and say it's not perfect.
Yeah.
But boy, is it entertaining.
Yeah, it is. It's well worth the money.
And perhaps I think my next trip to LA, I probably won't go out at night.
Yeah. I'll see you on the news.